from Runnable, and this is my comparison review of the Hoka Mach X2 and the new Balance Fresh Foam X Balos, or Balos as some people like to say. So in this review, by the end of the review, I'll explain which I think is the better shoe to buy. We'll go through all the stats, we'll go through all the kind of pros and cons of each shoe, and I'll give you a kind of rich picture of who I think these shoes are good for. And I'll give you, like I said, an overall summary of which one I think is the best shoe. Okay, so let's start with some basic stats of the shoes. So in my UK size 9.5, so I went up half a size with the Hoka. This comes in at 260 grams. And I went up half a size in the New Balance Balos as well. And this comes in slightly lighter at 250. So similar sort of weight. And you're going to find quite a bit of similarities with these shoes as the review goes on. Where they do differ though is the stack height. So you've got 44 millimeters in the heel here, and you've got 39 in the forefoot. There's quite a lot of stack in the forefoot on the Hoka, giving us that nice 5 millimeter drop. And then with the Balos, you've got much lower stack, although it's still a decent stack. It's 38.5 in the heel, 32.5 in the forefoot, giving it that nice 6 millimeter drop. So straight away, you're getting a lot more cushioning in the Hoka shoe. It's a higher shoe, and you do feel that on the run actually. Maybe not as much as those stats would suggest, but you do feel slightly more elevated in the Hoka. What I would say though is this feels like it's a higher stack even than the 38.5. So they are similar in that respect. It's just that this has got more cushioning. Okay, so let's go through the shoes in some more detail. Actually, just before we do that, let's test the foam density out. Okay, so with the Balos, let me just zero that out. As you can see, 0. And if I press down, you're getting, very soft 22 there. Very soft indeed. Okay, and let's try it in the forefoot. Forefoot even less, 19. It's one of the softest foams I've ever actually tested. And then with the Hoka shoe, let's do the same. So you can see it's 0. Let's test. So here you've got the orange, which is the EVA, and the blue, which is the peba. So we'll test both. So in the heel, let's press down. You've got quite a firm 38, not mega firm, but quite firm 38. And in the forefoot, where you've got this nice peba foam, you've got 28. Okay, so this is the denser shoe, denser foam. The peba though is quite nice and soft, and that does make a difference when using this shoe. But this is an incredibly soft shoe, and so we'll go into the pros and cons of that a bit later. But that gives you an idea of the foam and how soft these shoes are. So this is going to be a firmer ride for sure. Right, so let's go through the uppers first. So in terms of toe box room, I think they're about the same. I've got wide feet and they're perfectly fine for my wide feet. And what I would say though, in terms of the volume, you've got, may not look like it there, but you've definitely got more volume in the Hoka shoe. So my feet sometimes in the Balos touch the top, touch the material here and rub against this mesh upper. So I would say if you've got a need for high volume, definitely the Hoka Mach X is got more volume than the Balos. So consider that, make that as definitely a thought in your mind. If you've got fat feet, fat toes like me, you might get on better with this upper on the Hoka. Okay, in terms of everything else, well actually you can see there's a bit more of a sole flare on the Balos, and we'll talk a bit more about that in a bit, because obviously that gives it a wider base. But in terms of the material, they're both kind of engineered mesh. I feel like the Hoka feels a bit more like a race upper, and this one feels a little bit more woven and a bit more like a daily trainer upper. And you can kind of feel that in the sense that this feels a bit softer, and this a bit scratchier. In terms of like the fit and the lockdown, I had to go up half a size in both shoes. I found that the Balos in particular was quite snug. So definitely, if you're considering this shoe, if you're in between sizes like I am, or have got a wide foot like I am, you might need to go up half a size in the Balos, the New Balance shoe. In the Hoka, I've got quite a bit of room at the end of my toes, so I could have potentially maybe got away true to size, but I think it fits just fine actually with that half a size up. Gives me that extra room, which I quite like. But if you like the dialed in fit, then go true to size in the Hoka. Okay, so some like elephant in the room time with the Hoka. Lots of people have had problems with this heel collar. They found it rubs against their heel. It's very the counter is very flexible, right? So normally for me that's a good thing, right? But lots of people have had problems getting blisters with this heel counter. The collar, there's not a lot of padding around the collar. All in all, you can see the potential here for not such a good lockdown. But with the Balos, you've got much more thicker heel collar, and you've got much more rigid heel counter. And you've got more padding at the back by a long way. You can see there's very little padding here on the Hoka, but on the New Balance Balos, you've got lots of padding. So, potential this for heel slippage and problems with the heel. I didn't have any of that. I actually quite like it when there's less padding around and there's a more flexible heel collar. But if you're somebody who struggles with that, then this may not work for you. There's lots of people that have had blisters on their heel, terrible lockdowns in this shoe. So I suggest you try it on first, go for a run on a treadmill with it and see if there are any issues. Because if you get any issues on your first run, like I'm getting with the Hoka Mach X, the chances are it's going to get worse. That's what I'd say in terms of the Hoka. In terms of the Balos, I feel like it's a very good upper. The tongue's quite stretchy, so you just have to fiddle around with that a little bit. But you can cinch down the laces, get a good lockdown. I think all in all, great upper. I'd say that in terms of uppers of the two shoes, I'd give this one to the Balos, New Balance Balos. I don't have the heel issues, but with that in mind, with a lot of people having those issues and poor lockdown in this shoe, I think the Balos wins out in terms of the upper. Okay, outsole. So, outsole, both got good rubber coverage. You can see here in the Balos, this is exposed foam actually. This is a Fresh Foam X that's exposed. And then the darker rubber here is actually a harder rubber compound. And then with the Hoka, you can see the pink area or purpley pink area here is the harder rubber compound, the grippier part of the sole, and then you do have some exposed foam as well. But it's the EVA, so it's a bit harder this foam. So both shoes are pretty good in terms of outsole. I slightly preferred the Fresh Foam X, the Balos' outsole. I found this was a bit grippier than the Hoka. I went on some slippy-ish frosty paths today, and this performed a little bit better. So I would say again, outsole-wise, I'd just give it to the Balos. I think it slightly outperformed the Hoka shoe, but they're both pretty good. The other thing to note as we're in this area is the Balos has got the wider footprint across the whole shoe. You can, like I mentioned before, it's got quite a big sole flare, and that's why you get this wider area. So this is needed actually, and we'll talk about stability in a minute. Okay, and then so in terms of midsole, so I would just go back to the outsole. I'd give that again to the Balos, but only slightly, and there's not a lot in it. They're pretty good outsoles, both will do a job. Neither up there with Continental rubber or Puma grip, but they're sort of tier 2 and they're pretty good. Okay, midsole. So this is where it gets interesting actually. So as we know, we've tested the foam, this is a lot softer. This is not by any means firm, but it's firmer. In the Hoka, you've got this, you can see clearly the separation between the orange EVA and the blue, the turquoisey blue peba foam. So you can see straight away you got a lot of that peba under the midfoot and forefoot. So for me, this has been designed for those type of runners, midfoot and forefoot runners. You do have some, you can see there under the heel, but the vast majority of the foam under the heel is the EVA. And so I get quite a nice plush ride, bouncy ride, because I land around here. And you can see the plate there as well. So that's another key difference. You've got this nylon plate and you can see that it's winged here to add to some stability. So you've got a slightly firmer midsole with a blend, dual density of peba and EVA, and you've got the plate to add to that stability. Okay. In terms of the Balos, you've got the Fresh Foam X, which is this peba EVA blend, and you haven't got a plate, so there's no stability you're getting from a plate there. So you're getting most of the stability from the width, and it's got quite a nice width, as I mentioned, but it is a softer compound than with the Hoka, and for that reason I feel like this is a less stable shoe, and when you land in this shoe, it's not as a consistent bounce as you get with a Hoka. It can throw you slightly left or right, so if you pronate or supinate, you might have issues with this shoe. You can get away with it because of the larger, wider base, but I'm just saying, in terms of stability wise, I think the Hoka wins out here for those reasons I mentioned. In terms of the feel of the running in the kind of midsole, definitely softer. You sink a little bit more into the foam. If you're a heavier runner than me, you'll sink even more into the foam. With this, it's a firmer ride, but it's not firm. It's a really nice sensation, and you get a nice kind of propulsive push off, I think is the right word. When you land, it kind of propels you forward. So I think this is a really nice shoe for going kind of up tempo, that kind of marathon pace and beyond shoe, and it's fine for going slow as well, but this really comes to life when you start to pick up the pace. Whereas the Balos, actually slightly different. I think it's good at slower paces, really good at slower paces. You can pick up the pace in this, despite some of the reviews I've read saying you can't. I believe you can, and I've done it and it feels quite good, but I feel like its strength is at those slower paces, not easy, not recovery runs, not easy runs, but those slower kind of average paces. If you wanted a recovery run shoe, I'd go for the More V5 New Balance shoe rather than this. It's got that extra cushion and everything. This, I think you can go fast, and you could do a tempo run in this shoe. Where I'd say I would draw the line is I would actually race in the Hoka with the plate, with the nice firmer foam, with the peba, kind of nice bounce and propulsion. I'd have no problem racing in this, whereas with the New Balance I probably wouldn't race in it. I could race in it, it probably wouldn't be a pick of mine, but I could quite happily race 10k in this. And in terms of like running slower, I would pick the Balos over the Hoka, but there is a sweet spot in between that they're both pretty good at. You can both get a decent, if you want to just go out for an average run, you want to feel good and comfortable, both shoes are pretty good in that respect. Just this one's slightly more stable, this one's a softer ride, and if you're heavier you're going to feel that even more. You may even find this slightly mushy. I didn't, but some people might, so just bear that in mind. Okay, so in terms of the runs, I would like I said, could use this for a 10K, maybe even a half marathon, at a push a marathon. In terms of this, I would probably not use this for a racing, but I would more likely use this if my feet are feeling and my legs are feeling a bit worn out, and I still want to go for a run at a reasonable pace, but I want something that's going to feel nice. I'd potentially use this shoe. So they're the main differences for me. So elephants in the room, like we discussed with the heel collar here, counter here, sorry, causing a lot of people some issues, and the poor lockdown, not for me, but for other people. The elephant in the room for the Balos is the price. And this comes in at a whopping £200, which I think is way overpriced. It's up there with the Super Blast price, and you're getting this shoe here for like more than £30 cheaper. That's got to be a consideration when you're looking at these two shoes. I've already said this can cover the racing element of your your racing side of your runs as well. So you're starting to get a picture of where my preferences are. And I think for me, as a 4-foot striker, as someone who's not that heavy, as somebody who wants a shoe, who likes to go up tempo with his shoe, likes to go quicker, even if it's not my first choice as a racing shoe, I would tend to gravitate to something like Hoka. Whereas some people I know would want a more comfortable shoe, softer shoe, love the cushion. This is very cushioned as well, but it's a little bit more firm ride. Don't want to run in with anything with a plate. Then obviously the New Balance is a really good option. So let's summarize. Upper, first of all, I'm going to give that to the Balos. I think it's the more comfortable upper. It's got more padding. People aren't having the same problems with the heel collar that they're having with the Mach X. I'm not having those problems, but I'm trying to be considerate to all here. So all in all, I think better upper on the Balos. The only thing is the volume, just remember that. In terms of grip, I'm going to give that again, outsole to the Balos. I think it's slightly grippier on the run. Not a lot of difference, marginal, but I'd give it to the Balos. In terms of durability, I think they're going to be very similar, maybe slightly Balos, but I've run slightly more miles in this, and it's, as you can see, it's pretty good so far. So midsole, I'm going to give despite absolutely loving this Fresh Foam X, this Peba EVA blend, I'm going to give it to the Hoka Mach X2. I think I love the way, for me, there's a lot of this Peba foam under the 4-foot. I get a lovely bounce from this. I get, you can see the wing plate here. I get good center lock, my foot locked in place down the center. Because of that, I get added stability because of that. It's a firmer ride. This foam, as you know, as we saw, is firmer, but for me it's a good firm. Allows me to run quicker. So they're the kind of like pros and cons of the shoes themselves. In terms of running in the shoes, I would say this is the faster shoe. This is the more stable shoe. The Hoka, I would say this is more comfortable, but you do sink into this shoe. And if you're a heavier runner than me, you'll sink more into this shoe, and then you might find this shoe a little bit unstable because this foam will compress and then it will shoot you off left and right. And you haven't got a wing plate here to add to the stability. So yeah, in terms of look and feel, prefer the New Balance shoe. I do like this shoe actually. It's quite flamboyant, but I do love the clean look of the New Balance shoe. Weight wise, they're very similar, but it goes to the New Balance shoe again. It's slightly lighter. And in terms of stack, I prefer the more cushioned Hoka. You get that extra elevation, which is quite nice. If you're someone like me who lands with force, you get that extra cushion, and you don't feel so much in this shoe like you're sinking into the shoe. And finally, the price. The Hoka shoe, Hoka shoe wins hands down on price. And that for many people is going to be the main reason why you would go for the Hoka shoe. It's the main reason I'm going to suggest the Hoka shoe wins out of the two shoes. The final thoughts are this is also a good shoe for racing in, whereas this wouldn't be. So potentially a bit more versatile, although you could argue the other way round, the New Balance is slightly better at slower paces. You could actually use these shoes together, and this would be your slow run shoe and this could be your tempo shoe. So you know, if you've got both shoes, that's fine as well. Why not have, if you've got the money, why not have them in the same rotation? That's fine. But for me, the clear winner is the Hoka shoe. I think where it excels a lot more than the New Balance shoe. And when the New Balance shoe is better, it's only slightly better. And for me, that means that the Hoka wins. Hopefully you found that useful, and it will you know, help you make the right purchase. Both shoes are great shoes, so you buy either one of these shoes, you're buying a really good shoe. It's just you're paying a bit more for this one. Okay, see you later. Hope you've enjoyed the review. If you like what you're hearing, please thumbs up and subscribe, and see you later. Bye.
Hi everyone, it's Ed from Runnable. Today I'm going to be doing a head-to-head shoe battle between two shoes that I love. They're quite similar shoes in many ways. I think you can do them. You can do all sorts of runs in them. They're very versatile. You can do like slower runs, more tempo sessions. You could even race in these two shoes. So the shoes I'm going to be testing are the New Balance Fresh Foam Balos. It's a great shoe by New Balance, which was released this year. And also the Hoka Mach X2. And they're the shoe that I actually got on at this moment. So let me just show you the shoe. Okay, and we'll be doing a head-to-head battle, and I'll let you know which I think of the two shoes you should buy. If you're going to buy just one, which you should buy. Okay, right. I'll see you later. Bye-bye. So I'm out here running in the Hoka Mach X2, one of my favourite shoes to running at the moment. Straight away, I'm loving the feel of this shoe. Nice and bouncy, lovely peba foam under my forefoot. It's a dual density, so you've got peba at the top, and then you've got the EVA beneath it to add to stability of the shoe. I think there's a lot more, looks like there's more peba foam in the forefoot area, which is possibly why I'm liking it a lot. I'm getting a lovely spring in that area. It's also got a nylon plate, plated shoe. So yes, a lot going on with this shoe, but it seems to work for me. I find it fairly stable. It seems to have a nice large forefoot area for me to land on. I find the upper comfortable. I know a lot of you have had issues with the heel. I don't have any issues whatsoever. In fact, for me, ironically, it's one of the better shoes that I've run in. Doesn't aggravate my heel or Achilles. And if you listen to my channel, you know that's an issue that I do have. So yesterday I ran in the Puma Mag Max, and that gives me all sorts of problems rubbing with my heel. And I know if I did a long run in that shoe, I could be in a lot of trouble with blisters and, you know, Achilles getting hurt. Whereas this shoe, it feels great. So I know for some of you, this shoe might be a non-starter. You need to go to the running shop, test it on the treadmill, just see if you've got any issues with your heel. I mean, the other thing to bear in mind is I also went up half a size. I'm often doing that with Hoka shoes. They fit me quite tight, often Hoka shoes. So I find going up half a size works for me. So I'm going down a hill now, and they're providing a lot of bounce and support. Really is a good foam, this. Really liking it. Allows you to move quickly, but with a nice bounce. It's not anywhere near as bouncy as the Cielo, Hoka's racing shoes, Cielo X1. It's not that kind of bounce. It's more controllable. It's just kind of nice and poppy, moves you along. Weight-wise, I think it feels fine. I mean, it's not as light as Super Blast, but it's not bar off actually. Feels nice and light on my feet. I could race in the shoe, absolutely no doubt about that. Could do a 10k race. I think 10k would be the sweet spot for this shoe, maybe half marathon. And it'd be fine. It's quite a lot of stack. I think you got about 43 in the heel, and sort of 30. I'm not sure about the forefoot, but I think it's a low drop, so I'm imagining sort of late 30s, and you can feel that cushion in the forefoot. That's where I land, and it feels lovely. So if you're a forefoot striker, you're going to like this shoe, as long as you don't have the heel problems, of course. What else? Let's go a bit faster in the shoe. Let's see what the shoe can do. It's windy today. Nice morning, but windy and a bit colder. I'm still recovering from a bit of a chest infection, so I won't be doing the long run today, that's for sure. So yeah, going through my stride. Feels natural to run, pick up the pace in. All in all, yeah, it's good for getting up tempo for sure. This could be you could use this as a tempo shoe. I think it's quite a versatile shoe in that you could use it for doing your up tempo work. But you could also use this for your slower runs. I mean, it's not designed for that, but it's not terrible for that either. Kind of pops you along, similar to the Skyward X, but without the weight. I mean, Skyward X has more cushion, and would also be a good recovery run shoe. I don't see this in that area, that space, but for your sort of slower to tempo range, this would be good. I'm not sure I would use it as an interval or workout shoe. It's not designed for that, but you could, it's quick enough. Like I said, I could race in this shoe. Could do 10k. It wouldn't be my first choice, but I wouldn't have a problem with it either. I think it would be fine. Give you enough energy return to have a good race. In fact, I may well do that at some point. Right, in a minute we'll be going up a hill. We can probably test it on the hills. Yeah. Little break while I cross the road. There we go. Now for the hill. Here we go. Up we go. Let's see. Right, the balls on the hill. Lots of people going to work now. I live near a train station, so lots of people walk up my road on the way to work. So yeah, it feels good going uphill. Again, I spring forward. Yeah, it feels really good. Whoa, nearly there. Yeah, that didn't feel too bad at all, actually. It's not a nice hill, and it coped with it very well. And I'm not feeling that good in my legs, so it says a lot. Definitely good for hills. That's me done. See you later. Bye-bye. So I'm now running in the New Balance Fresh Foam Balos, or Balos, depending on how you want to pronounce it. I like Balos. I know a lot of you Americans prefer Balos. It doesn't really matter because it's the shoe that counts, not the name. And this is a shoe that I've done quite a few miles in now. Must be getting up towards the 100-mile mark. And I absolutely love it. Such a nice foam. So again, it's quite a nice stack to this shoe, over 40mm, similar to the Mach X2 that we talked about earlier. Slightly less in the forefoot, the slightly bigger drop. It's not loads in it. So very similar shoes. I mean, the biggest difference, thank you, is definitely the lack of a plate in this shoe. So all the goodness you're getting from this shoe is through the foam, New Balance Fresh Foam. And as we saw with the More V5, it's a great foam. New Balance and Hoka have really smashed it in terms of their foams this year. So this Fresh Foam, not their fuel cell race foam, peba foam. It's a really nice blend of EVA. So I feel like it's a really good compound they've got here, and one which I think a lot of people are going to like. So the Balos, nice upper, you know, what can I say, you don't really feel it. Decent lockdown, not the best but pretty good lockdown. It's wide enough in the forefoot, you can splay your toes. It's not got that much volume, so if you've got fat toes like me, can feel a little bit compressed in this upper, and you can sometimes feel them touching the material, this kind of woven mesh. But it's not a big deal actually. Doesn't stop me enjoying these as a shoe, just something to be wary of. If you've got high volume feet, you might have some issues with this upper, but generally I think good upper. It's not causing me any issues on the heel, neither did the Mach X2 for that matter, and generally you know, I'll give it a thumbs up. In terms of outsole, it's a good outsole, very grippy. I think it's potentially grippier than the Hoka, actually, the Mach X. It just seems to grip the ground well. It's kind of that soft, grippy rubber that, you know, kind of grips the ground in that kind of spongy way, rather than that tacky way like you get with the Mizuno Wave Rebellion and Rebellion Pro 2. It's a different rubber, and it means that it doesn't feel as harsh when you land in this shoe. It's a very nice soft ride, which brings me on to where the magic is, the midsole, which is a lovely stack of fresh foam, and it feels really good. I'm going to say it's slightly softer than the Mach X2, and I feel, let's put it through its paces a little bit, let's go a bit faster, but I feel like Mach X2 is slightly the quicker shoe, but let's go, let's try, find out. Yeah. So with the Mach X2, when I went faster, I could feel, you know, because I was hitting the ground with more force, I could feel myself engaging the plate. Obviously there's no plate here, and so this does feel a little bit more spongy, but in a nice way, and not too spongy either, just about right. Yeah, so that's quite nice. So yeah, you can go up tempo in this shoe and it feels fine. It hasn't quite got the same spring, forward momentum, energy return that the Mach X2's got. I think as a lighter runner, maybe I don't compress this foam as much. If you're heavier, you may sink even more into the foam, and it may be a bit slower for you. So that's something to bear in mind. I feel like heavier runners actually might pick this more as a slower run shoe, potentially to get that nice compression of the foam. But what comes with that is less propulsion, more of a sink in kind of feel, because there's no plate here. There's no plate to add that rigidity, and also, say that word again, rigidity, I can't say it, you know what I mean, to add that stabilising effect. You've just got this wedge of foam, and whilst by no means bad at going fast, I didn't feel it had the same pickup as a Mach X2. So, whilst very similar shoes, I think they're slightly different. I think for a lot of people, this is going to be better at slower paces than Mach X2. But you can also go up tempo in the shoe. But I don't think, well, you're not sure I'd race in it, to be honest. My neighbours saying hello. It's nice to see people out and about still, even though it's colder. Yeah, I'm not sure I'd race in this shoe, although I could. I'd rather racing the Hoka, pretty sure. Right, let's try and get across this road. Right, we're going to do a hill now. Let's see if it's as good as a Hoka going up the hill. Right, let's go. Same hills before, you know the score. It's funny, when people hear you running behind them, they always move, which is kind of nice. But actually what you want them to do is stay where they are, because the runner's the one who's going to move, because we're moving quicker. Apart from racing, you know, that's quite nice if you're lapping people, they keep to the left, which doesn't always happen, as we know. So, pretty good actually. Feels light, not quite as propulsive as the Hoka, but not far behind, to be honest. And considering this has not got a plate, it's pretty good. Very good. But both excellent shoes for going up hills. So versatile, these shoes. Either one, you can't go wrong, really. I'm going to negotiate this. Let's go around the corner. There you go. Done. So I'm running now with the Hoka Mach X2 and the New Balance Balos, one on each shoe, on each foot, I should say. The Hoka's on my left foot, New Balance on my right foot. Not that that really makes much of a difference. And during this run, I'll let you know how they feel, the differences. So straight away, I can feel that the New Balance shoe, the Balos, is the softer shoe. So I'm sinking more into the foam. So it's definitely, you know, slightly more comfortable in terms of the feel of when I run in the shoe. The Hoka is a little bit firmer, but by no means firm. Both uppers fit me well. I had to go half a size up in both. For me, I can't really say there's much difference. If I had to say slightly, to pick one more than the other, I'd say the New Balance upper slightly. It's softer and a bit more plush, but very similar. What I am getting, what's noticeably different about the shoes, is I'm getting more energy return, I feel, from the Hoka. I'm sinking less into the foam, slightly firmer ride, but it's also propelling me forward a bit more. It wants to go faster. So immediately I kind of feel that the Hoka's the faster shoe, the Mach X2. It's not like I feel like I'm engaging the plate massively, but I do feel the kind of slightly firmer nature of the ride. It definitely wants me to move quicker in this Hoka shoe, and the Balos feels a lot more, it's not a mushy shoe, but it's softer, and so a lot will depend on your preferences. If you like a really soft ride and you've got no stability issues, then you're going to like the Balos, I think. It's a really nice ride.
if you like a slightly firmer ride, but it's not firm, but one that gives you a lot of energy return, propels you forward, good on the forefoot as well, you're going to like the Hoka, I think. One other noticeable difference is the Hoka feels higher up, like a taller stack. I guess that's going to be it's going to be confirmed when we do the review, but it does feel noticeably taller. It doesn't feel terrible running in these two shoes together, but you can slightly feel that the Hoka is a few millimeters on the new Balance Balos. So that's something also to bear in mind. If you don't like these tall stack shoes, you might prefer the Balos. That said, if you don't like tall stack shoes, you probably won't like either, because the Balos is not exactly it's not exactly minimalist, if you know what I mean. So let me up the pace a little bit in both and see if it confirms my thoughts. You get a nice bounce in both, but already I'm seeing that I guess I'm engaging the plate a bit more, because I'm almost leading with my left leg here. It's pushing me, it's bringing me a lot more forward with the Hoka shoe. So I'm already thinking I could possibly race in the Hoka shoe, the Mach X2. Not convinced I'd necessarily want to race in the Balos, unless maybe it was a really long race and I just wanted comfort. But then I think they're probably better shoes for that, like Skyward X, for instance, which would give me the comfort and the nice bounce from that concave plate, and then max cushion, and actually more stability, I think, ironically, than the Balos, even given its high stack. So yeah, so to summarise, key differences: uppers are very similar for me, slightly more padding, slightly more better lockdown with the Balos. So I get the Balos, the win on the upper grip. Oh, it's marginal. Day's quite nice now. It was slippier earlier, but I'd give it slightly to the Balos as well. I don't think there's much in it though. Just slightly better, grippier on the ground. But it's not a major difference. In terms of propulsion and speed, Hoka wins that one hands down, I think. I don't sink into the foam like I'm doing with the Balos. Stability, I'd give it to the Hoka. Again, I'm not sinking. The foam is keeping my foot in place, as is the wing plate. So I feel very centered in the Hoka. And the Balos, while it's not an unstable shoe, it's softer, and there's potential for a bit more foot lateral and medial movement in the Hoka. Sorry, in the Balos. Price now, I know this is going to be a big elephant in the room conversation, because the price it's quite a big difference. I think if I remember rightly, the Hoka is around 170. You might be able to get it slightly cheaper now, and the Balos is around 200. So big percentage difference in the price there, and you can't really justify that with the two shoes. Well, you can't at all really. I think the Balos is 40, maybe even £50 too expensive. It should be around the 160, I think, mark. So price, obviously Hoka's going to win hands down. Foam, like both foams, one's well, the fresh foam is Fresh Foam X, so it's blended EVA and peba on the Balos, and on the Hoka it's dual density, so you've got elements of the midsole like peba and other areas which are EVA. The peba seems to be on top more, particularly under the midfoot and forefoot. Midsole wise, I'm going to slightly give it to the Hoka. Just feel there's more energy return there, but both have got great foams. Well done New Balance, well done Hoka. Two absolutely superb shoes. You'll do fine with either. That's all for me. See you later. Bye.